Vishnu and Rudra, the prominent ones in the world, made their abodes there along with the lotus-born Brahma. The whole world has made its abode there. The country is meritorious and the holiest. This is how Kashmir is described in the Nilmat Puran. I am a Kashmiri Pandit, as you've been informed many times today. Kashmiri Pandits, as you know, are the aboriginal inhabitants of Kashmir, the indigenous minority that traces its root to that region for at least 5,000 years, if not more. Being a Kashmiri Pandit may not be my primary identity, but it sure is an important one, a cherished one. More so because the community has faced persecution and continuous genocide for centuries. The fact that we celebrated our 5098th New Year in April should indicate how deep our connect with Kashmir is. It is an emotional, spiritual and civilizational connect. But even as we felt it, did we really understand the role of Kashmir as the cultural epicenter of Bharat? Did we realize how Kashmir has interacted with the rest of Bharat, causing learning and knowledge across various fields to flow both ways? About its shared history, shared culture, about the importance of Sharada Desh and Sharada Mata for other Bharatiyas even beyond the Vindhyas. These are questions that I have been contemplating upon for the last few years. Let me share an anecdote. When I was a child, my mum would talk about her daily ritual as a kid, which comprised of praying to a Shivalinga, Bhairava Dev and Sri Krishna. All three had been discovered miraculously in the well of their house. So considering that this was way beyond my grandfather's time, these would have been more than 100 years old. She would talk about the divine power of these deities and what had happened if somebody did something, not right and all. And so I've grown up accepting these from the spiritual, devotional or the religious perspective. Very recently, she received pictures of these on WhatsApp from someone who had preserved it and all, because my mom's parents had sold off the house and all. So she received these pictures on WhatsApp and she immediately shared with me. My mom is quite techno-savvy, let me confess. And I was immediately reminded of those anecdotes, but this time what first came to my mind is, had these been put in the well to protect from an onslaught of iconoclasts? Could that have been the reason why they were there in the well? So I shared these with Padma Shri Dr. Meenakshi Jain, for she has traced this whole phenomenon across undivided India and documented many such events in her book, The Flight of Deities. Meenakshi ji very kindly, listened to my query, and then she encouraged me to explore it further. And she said that if possible, you should document it and you should try and crowdsource as many such events as you can possibly find. She emphasized that oral history is important. Focus on that, and this was something new to me. And I thought that to a people for whom finding buildings that are at least 100 years old is no longer wondrous, to a people where centuries old monuments getting carelessly defaced doesn't mean a thing, perhaps there is a heightened need for the appreciation of our legacy. We are the inheritors of the longest extant human civilization, and that realization needs to be there, and that realization needs to fill us with pride and also responsibility. It is all the more important in this present era where the basic definition of human rights, progress, sustainability, development, growth, prosperity are all being decided by few 100-year-old countries and cultures. We need to be aware of who we were, to understand who we are and decide who we want to become. As mentioned by Hari ji recently in his address, he said that when the Kashmir Files movie was released, it led to global awareness about what had happened to us and the persecution as recently as the 20th century. And amidst the outpouring of compassion, empathy, there was also a sense of curiosity, pride and shared heritage. Because the penultimate scene has that long monologue by the protagonist. And it was a very well-referenced monologue, I must confess. It was heartening to find many youngsters and even older folks talk about that and get inspired to find out more. And who knows, with dedicated research, those who have looked at Kashmir as the Kashmir problem might essentially lead to finding solutions from Kashmir for the greater good of many. Of the various cultures and thought centers that have impacted this beautiful land of Bharat, Kashmir has been a huge source of many creativity generating and paradigm shifting offerings. Sharada Desh has been a center of learning for traditional knowledge systems from other regions and has also sent learners and seekers to similar centers across the country. There's been a continuous exchange of learning and learners between Kashmir and the rest of Bharat. Kashmir has been mentioned in Panini's Ashtadhyayi, Mahabharat, Puranas, Brihad Samhita, Patanjali. Abhinavagupta, Vishnu Sharma, Bilhan, Kalhan and Bamaha are some of the eminent scholars from the region. Vasugupta's Shivasutra is an important text of the Advaita tradition of Kashmir Shaivism. According to Kalhan, the first known king of the region was Gonanda. The native king of Kashmir who minted coins in the early 6th century was Pravarsena. In Nilmat Purana, sage Vaishampayan tells King Janmejaya that the goddess Uma is the same as Kashmira and that the holy region of Kashmir is possessed of all sacred places. The entire region of Kashmir is described as a Mahatirth in Nilmat Puran, with every inch of land akin to a tirth. Sharada Peeth, as mentioned by Padma Shri Dr. Subhash Kak, was regarded as a great center for learning. Al-Baruni mentions that Devi Sharada he mentions her in his account of the most famous idols of the Hindus right after the image of Suryadeva at Multan and Vishnu Chakraswami of Thaneshwar and the Linga of Somanath. He places that idol right after that. Kalhana's Rajatarangi indicates that people from various regions of the modern day India would come to Kashmir for pilgrimage or studies, and there were special mathas for people from different regions. In this June, we at Indica decided to celebrate the integral significance of Kashmir for the rest of Bharat and vice versa, under the guidance of the brilliant Dr. Nagaraj Paturi ji. It's been my great privilege and honor and good fortune to be the co-curator of this conference. We invited papers from students, scholars, experts and public intellectuals focusing on the theme of the conference across various fields of study. And we received a very enthusiastic response. Of the submissions that were received, 12 papers were shortlisted and 8 of those have made it to the conference today. We've also invited special guests who have been working in fields of learning and application closely connected with Kashmir. We began the conference with an enriching keynote address by Padma Shri Dr. Subhash Kak, and we have 2 more invited speakers who will share their work with us later in this day, which we hope will be packed with information, awareness and reflection. With these words, I invite you all, esteemed guests, erudite participants and honorable delegates to this online conference on Kashmir, Cultural Epicenter of Bharat, and look forward to a day full of heightened awareness and enrichment. As is the tradition at Indica, papers presented in this conference will be published on Indica's media platform called Indica Today.